welcome to a cup of grata with a shot of expression and 2 squirts of reality. Okay, today we are going to have the coolest, the rockinest conversation because we're going to be talking all about intimacy, relationships, and mostly about the relationship with ourselves. Check this out. Real intimacy is created by knowing your body and how to connect your sensations to the sensations of your partner. And if you want to have better seg or anything else, get better in your body. And I am so excited about this guest, and I know you guys are too. You intrigued just a little bit. I'm going to bring him on right now. Who I'm bringing on, he's been on before, and I blunder his name every time. James. He's James Hummus, is what I'm going to call him. He's shaking his head at me right now. He's like, don't do that. No, James Humecky.
Humecky.
I'm Hummus. James Hummus. This is James Hummus.
He's better than a lot of other things I've been called, so it's okay.
There you go, right? He's a somatic pleasure educator and coach whose engaging presence disrupts the traps of conformity with a blend of playfulness and philosophical depth. Former Marine, I love that, so is my husband. Turned enthusiastic proponent of somatic self-discovery, James has embarked on a mission to cultivate a global consciousness re-evolution, drawing from over 30 years of personal development and 2 decades of wisdom acquired from his travels and experiences around the world as a somatic body worker. I learned a little and getting all the words out and James, this is so rocking. I remember when you were with me before and we were talking about all kinds of really great stuff, and you've really done a shift in the last couple of years here. Huge. So with no further ado, welcome back to Spirituality Gone Wild, Cup of Grata, and oh my God, the questions are so big. Before I'm going to get started, all I want to know is, how'd you fall into this? And then I'm going to have questions because I have questions here, and here. So many questions. Believe
Perfect.
me.
I'm looking forward to see what you're going to ask me and see how I show up. There has been a big shift, and part of that shift was, disconnecting from the identity as James the body worker, James the massage therapist, James the traveler, and coming more deeply into not only the understanding of everything that I've practiced and learned and grown through, but how to bring that out to the world in a way that's fathomable, understandable, that's connected to people's humanity. You stumble on the words of like a title of who I am. Believe me, that's been a process of, all this time, 20 years of trying to okay, what am I going to call myself? And even to this day, to say something like somatic pleasure coach, it just feels too small. and it doesn't seem like a big enough of an explanation of what this field holds and how passionate and excited I am about it. So
okay, so you went. I love that you went from Thai massage and really getting somatic massage is what you were doing before. Am I correct?
That's what I mean. When I look at it, yes, from the very beginning, it was very psychosomatic work, even before I had those words and even before I've learned all these tools that I have now. So yes.
All right, so let's just start with the basics. Let's explain somatic.
Okay, well, somatic really is basically whole body. It's everything. It's understanding that there is no separation. This is an ecosystem and everything works together. We pull apart the pieces, the brain and the organs and the different muscles and the nervous system, and we pull it apart so we can study it and kind of understand it, right? But in the end, it's not separate. And from that concept, we understand just by looking at science and quantum mechanics and spiritual practices for thousands and thousands of years that we're not separate from each other. We're not separate from nature. We're not separate from, whatever the big wah is for you. And so it's a way of like going inside, beginning to understand yourself as that one whole complete being ecosystem, and then beginning to understand how it's interconnected to everything else. We don't breathe without the trees, for instance. So we're like intimately connected to the trees. So anyway, that's
So somatic is in the body. Somatic is in the body, correct?
yes.
And it's a way of going into the body, is what you're saying, and into you, into the oneness of who you are, connected with everything and everyone else.
Yes. I mean, that's a good solid explanation for sure. I mean, the
Cool.
word, obviously, it's a Greek word, right? That just means body, and it was used in a lot of different contexts.
Right.
What we're doing, right? This is kind of a modern, right now context. Plus, it's a bit of my own personal explanation. So, yeah.
I totally dig it. All right. I just want to make sure we're on point. Anybody, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We are talking about intimacy. We're talking about the relationship with ourself. We're talking about the relationship with our partners. And it's safe to consider that this is probably a really good practice for learning how to, one, connect back into yourself if you're disconnected. Let's talk about that first, because somatics to me means a way for me to reconnect within. Okay. It also means a way to move energy that is stuck and not in, a movement of some sort. Is that true, or is that
So
not it?
I'll just give you a little example, and I just
Okay.
wrote about this the other day too. I got about 30 years ago. I went through this really kind of horrendous divorce, right? And it
Yeah.
just like felt like life had pulled the carpet right out from under me, right? And plus piled on with childhood stuff and a bunch of other things like that. Um, I felt completely lost and confused and hurt and all of that stuff. And it just like everything was overwhelming and I couldn't see a path out of it. Right. And
Yeah.
the story of it continuously ran through my head. Right. The spin, spin, spin. I did this, they did that, yada, yada, yada. And all the emotions, were cathartic all the time. It took a long time to begin to understand how the body is being triggered by any external kind of event, and then reacting, and how those reactions are driving the emotion, which is also attaching to a story, because our brains need to have something tangible to attach to, right? Even though the story is like gone, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
in the minute it's gone, it's gone. And emotion is a label put on a set of sensations happening in the body, right? So what happened over the years was I learned, I studied, and I went down a lot of different paths, some really weird stuff and some really fun stuff and some really
Yeah.
like dead end stuff, but some really powerful learning to understand that my inner state is not only my responsibility, but it's also a place where I have pretty much absolute control. And I also, what was the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, I have absolute control and responsibility, right? So once
Mm.
I learned techniques of how to manage that inner state, first I had to recognize that this thing was happening. My heart's beating fast, my tummy is churning, whatever kinds of heat, cold, heat, and pressure, and all the different kinds of things we feel internally. Um, we actually have the capacity to shift that, no matter what the story is, no matter what's happening, right? Some of the most horrendous situations people are in, and they can come into that place of calm and peace in themselves, right? That's the first thing. What is the sensation that you're feeling? Can you recognize that? Can you feel that? How do you shift that sensation when it's uncomfortable? And that's also the only place you can really tell the truth, right?
Yes.
Because until you learn that and understand that and learn to be able to discern that and navigate that, you're not even sure necessarily that the emotion that you think you're feeling is what's actually happening.
Mm.
Excitement, passion feels very much like fear and anger, right? I mean, these things,
Right.
right?
Well,
And then
before you,
you attach. just when you attach it to the story is already gone. It's not even present with you in the moment, right? So you're just like chewing on something that isn't even real anymore. Yeah. And so this is a way, this somatic practices and this sensation based awareness is a way of becoming very, very present in the moment and telling the truth and navigating your own inner state.
Woo, that was great. But I apologize. I wanted to point out something that you had said, and I didn't want to lose it. And I didn't lose it. You said you had to understand that you were responsible for your inner beingness,
Mhm.
that you took accountability, you took responsibility, was another word you used. And for what I heard, I'm going to convert it to authenticity.
Also,
Because to tell the truth, we are authentic, we are knowingness in our space, in our beingness, and it allows us to step forward in that fullness to be whole in who we are through an authentic voice. And so you're helping to get people to mold them into that space of feeling safety to do that.
well, and when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And you can go into that place of authenticity, of self responsibility. And this doesn't mean that people aren't doing bad things or that you haven't been a victim of something. That's not what it's saying. It's not saying you have to forgive the world. It's saying take responsibility for in here, because you know what? I want to live in a place where I'm feeling safe. I want to live in a place where I feel grounded, where I feel at agency, at the, that I can make decisions in my life, and it's not everything out there that is making the decision for me. Okay. So that's the first place, that of course people
Yeah.
do crappy things, and you get we do get, bashed, victimized, whatever you want to call it, but you don't want to lose your agency just because that's
And your
happening.
sovereignty, right?
Sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree with, I love that. Of course, I agree with it, but you've said so many things that are so valuable in this. And okay, so one of the things I want to point out that you said is you have the control.
Yes.
So many times we feel so out of control because then you said, and this is where I want you to dive into this. And everybody, if you have questions, type it in the chat. Hello, welcome. Okay, so you were saying that, well, excitement and pleasure and those things feel the same as fear and other things. And I want to kind of break that open a little bit because y'all, this is some real stuff. Our nervous system, first off, let me just jump right in and say your mental health is fitness. It should be as
Mhm.
important to you as going to the damn doctor. This right now is your mental fitness hour. Can I get an amen? So, and we're going to get into talking about pleasure, and we're going to get into talking about, because listen here, I'm going to tell you right now, at 56 years old, I'm not dead. And for God's sake, I know y'all aren't either. But we need to understand our nervous systems. And James right here has some really cool stuff. Yeah, amen, Kathy. Hot damn. Amen, Margaret. Get it down. Because this is how
I wish
this
I was reading
works.
those. I can't see.
Well, you know what? Here, we totally can. The
Oh,
thing
yeah.
the thing about the thing about this is what I'm so excited about right now is that you're going to share tools for us to understand our nervous system better.
Mhm.
And I can't help but get excited about that because it is my favorite thing in the world to talk about and to get
Mm.
into. But let's explain. I know.
Passion. It's awesome.
Serious. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? And learning how to channel it the right way. And there's
Um,
so many things. If you come for trauma, you got to relearn how to channel. There's so many things.
right.
But let's just talk about the fact that we have to learn how to identify what's happening within our own structure first, within our own agency. So within that, how do we tell the difference between fear and excitement? And how can we just be okay with being okay?
Right. So, first thing I want to say is that anything that I say here, I'm making a bit of a disclaimer. Okay. I want to make sure that people understand that your story is valid and real. Your trauma is valid and real. Your emotions are valid and real. All I'm saying is that we can address those things from a place of strength and personal power and agency. So if you're coming top down from your story and you're stuck in your story and you're always telling your story, and then you're dropped down into, maybe you get some emotions and you get some catharsis and you keep running through that process. These are things that I've done. These are absolutely things that I've done a lot. Then, it kind of keeps us in that little spin cycle. But if you can drop down into the sensation awareness, the sensation-based awareness, you actually can begin to break that cycle of the cyclical thinking and just that, I call it like emotional blackout sometimes, where you're just like in that place, whether it's vengeance or fear or sadness or depression, whatever it is, right? And also, I just also want to make the disclaimer, like, when people need medication, you need medication. This is not a way of trying to mitigate that, okay? But it
Can
might
I?
actually
Yeah.
make it more powerful and more effective for you. That's all, right?
I wanted to disagree with you and say that these disclaimers are on point. And if you do need medication or you do need bigger help than that, you can always get a hold of me. You all know that I can get you hooked up out there in California in a second with advanced therapeutic services, and if y'all need it. Okay, so don't forget about that. I'm absolutely in 100% alignment. I just wanted to reiterate, if you need medications, if you're doing something else, this is all based on personal experiences. You take what you like, you leave the rest, as the old saying goes.
Right. So, you asked the question, how do you tell the difference between any of these emotions when the internal states feel very similar or the same? Okay. I say, don't try to do that. Just go into the emotion, just go into the state. What's happening in that state, and how much agency do you have around that? Okay. So if it's something that is happening in here, and it's stopping you from living your day-to-day life, or keeping you from being able to have relationships with yourself or other people, or keeping you from being able to, like, take care of yourself, like eat and exercise and all those other kinds of things, if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about, the depression and the anxieties and different things like that. Go right into where you can actually take charge is at the sensation level. That's where you can take charge and begin to understand how your nervous system works. Okay, so our guts, our bellies, our organs, and our heart, right? They all have neurons. It's almost like as big as your brain. So it's just thinking on a different level, right? It's taking in information on a different level and somewhat independent. So you're getting all this information into your belly and your heart that goes through the vagus nerve, very simplistic, right? It goes through the vagus nerve and comes into your brain. And then the brain says, okay, this is what you got to do, right? So if that's one of the places to start, is like, is your gut health okay? Right? Is your breathing okay? There's some very simple ways of beginning to regulate your nervous system just through a breath. Like, there's a coherent, I don't know, do we have a second? I can just like go through this one little breath exercise.
Well, I would actually love to do that. I just want to do a quick reiterate, you guys. What you're hearing is your gut health okay? So that's actually, you know what, James, like, that hits home for me right now. Can I even tell you, I've gotten so picky about what I eat, even though I have kind of been naughty last couple of days. But I really have.
Yeah.
I really have. Well, you know what? I swear to God, it's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that I can tell myself, you really don't need to get up and have anything, right? But there's some times when I allow myself to do it, but I'm getting off point. And I'm completely losing what I'm going to
Well, it's okay. Because, again, this is such a big topic. I am not a nutritionist, but I can tell you that when
your gut
is
Yes.
not in balance, and you're not getting enough probiotics and prebiotics and the whole 9 yards, right? Your biome, your gut biome is out of whack. Your body is out of whack. If you're breathing, now this is where I do have a fair amount of expertise. If your breathing is working, like if you're breathing a good diaphragmatic breath, okay, through your nose, filling up your lungs, and that, then you're a good ways on the path to recovery, let's say, or like breaking those cycles, if you will, right? We're
Okay.
talking on a psycho-emotional level.
We'll take them through it, and I'm going
Yeah,
to step away
great.
for a minute. Everybody, if you're driving, don't do anything dangerous. I'll be back because I want to give you this. Go ahead and guide them through exactly
We're
what you're
just gonna do
talking
like a
about.
little bit of 3 to 5 minutes, just a little like explanation, and then a light practice. So
You,
this is called coherent breathing. It's simple. So you're going to be breathing through your nose, and you're going to have an equal inhale to your exhale. We'll just start out with 5 seconds, okay? And I'm just going to count. So find yourself a good place to sit. If you can be in a chair and can kind of lean back, awesome, against a wall, laying down. And you can actually do this in just about any activity. It just takes some focus is all. So setting up straight. And we're going to inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to breathe. And inhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathe on your own for a minute. And we're going to bring this down to a close, the last couple of breaths. So one of the things you want to do as you learn this breath or continue this breath is you can hear this noise, and I can talk about, this app that you can buy, but being more quiet in your breath. So you're not taking these big, heavy duty inhales and exhaling loud. It's a very quiet breath. Again, through your nose. See if you can feel the breath as it crosses your upper lip and moves down into your lungs. And see how well you can relax the rest of your body. So this is just sort of an example of diaphragmatic breath, and less breaths per minute, less air per breath, or maybe the same amount of air, just elongated, over a period of time. And as you go through your day, try to take try to see where you're breathing through your mouth, and see if you can just close your mouth. We don't want to be mouth breathers. And you can do this anytime. You can do this when you're walking. You can do it when you're driving, because it's not a heavy breath that's going to make you dizzy or anything like that. But maybe practice it a few times and just get used to it before you try it during an activity. So that's a very simple breath. And there's 10,000 other breaths that are applicable to different things. So,
well, it was relaxing. How are y'all feeling out there? You know what? I am going to say that I feel nice and relaxed, and I love that, which is great, because I love breath. You know why? It's the first thing we take when we're coming to earth. It's the last thing we take when we leave. And seriously, people, we need reminders about paying attention to how that we're breathing. Those were great tools and reminders.
well, and one other thing I want to say about this, because in my practice, I have 4 pillars of somatics. And so it's breath, movement, mindfulness, and touch. Okay. Breath is movement. I mean, the thing is, they're all part and parcel of each other. I mean, they're, each one, you have a little bit of a focus. Remember what I said about tearing things down into smaller bits so you can understand them, but they're all working together. So
Right.
breath is a fundamental movement. Our bodies, the earth, nothing is ever in stillness. Breath brings us right into the moment, brings us right into that understanding of how we are integrated and integrating. You see how I'm moving? I can't stop moving, and it's just, it is fundamental to our mental health and our emotional and mental health. And when you bring it into a coherence with a partner, and you're moving into an intimate, sensual kind of space, being able to connect through the breath automatically begins to bring coherence. It activates the mirror neurons. It's a communication skill. It's a language that you have between each other that's not nonverbal. And it, depending on what kind of breathing you're doing, but it opens up, your energy. It helps, gets things going. That's why
I
it's
love that.
so
Right.
popular.
Well, it's popular because, breathing releases, okay, scientifically, it releases your dopamine, your endorphins, your serotonin, all of those great fun we love all those things, So instead of breathing as a way to get a dopamine hit, instead of sitting there and just mindlessly being on your phone, stepping into our physical bodies. There's a lot of people that come from trauma. Let's use me, for instance. I come from all kinds. I've had every trauma a woman could have. If it's a female trauma, not to be gender specific here, because there are men who go through just as much same exact shit that I've been through. But I mean, to just not have to elaborate into a story, because I don't really care to. Snot stain in my body was a thing. Oh my God. Anybody else out there ever have a problem staying in the body? No matter what you're doing. And especially during intimacy, because intimacy would be the place that staying in the body was the hardest to do. And a lot of people who haven't really taken a deep dive into the wherewithal of that trauma seem to struggle in there, because I did. So it seems to me that this practice is going to be really, really good for people who are like me, who have had a lot of trauma there, and staying in the body was not And breath isn't just the only thing that's going to cut it.
No.
No.
So, you know, the yes, it's really common to disassociate, especially after trauma, right?
Right.
And what's the word I'm looking for? When people are having sex, oftentimes we move into these places. There's a word that's running around the internet right now and it's not coming to me, but you know, basically you're just being an observer. Basically it's the same thing. It's like disassociating, right? These things are happening to and around me, but somehow or another I'm not involved. Right. and that, you know,
Yep.
yeah.
Right. Right.
And then, you know, whatever we do, you know, whether you know, we need alcohol or some other kind of substance to kind of like be able to feel in the moment, or you know, we need to do some other kinds of practices which also carry a double-edged sword with them. You know, there's good parts of it and whatnot, but when we can begin to become conscious within ourselves. So that's that. Remember what I said, we take responsibility, we have agency, we go right to the sensation, we drop out of the story and the emotional labeling, and we come right to actually what's happening, right?
Yes.
And if I can't feel that, then there's no way that I'm going to be able to feel what the other person's happening, and you know, it's just going to be an act.
And
So,
whose responsibility is that?
right, it's mine. Now if I'm traumatized,
It's internal. It's our individual responsibility to deal with our shit. I just need to say this out loud, people.
yeah, right. And again, please be sure that you know that it's not, that doesn't mean that the things didn't happen and somehow your responsibility for what somebody did to you. You know, that's not, I mean, you know, if you've been raped, that's what's happened to you. If you've been beat up, if you've been abused, those are things that happen to you. They're real, right?
Right.
So, you know, it's not bypassing to go like, you know, to know that those are real, right? But when you go in, the way you get out of it is by going in and taking responsibility for the sensations, for the inner state. You're not taking responsibility for the thing that happened to you. That's not your fault, right?
Right.
But here you have actual power, and you can take those negative or seemingly negative events and experiences and turn them into real power. You know, that whole bit of, you know, the wounded healer and all of that kind of stuff, right? That it's
Yeah.
like, that's, if you know, if you've experienced, the deeper that you've experienced, the more depth, the more darkness that you've experienced, the more possibility of light and expansion you have, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Now, one of the things that I want to bring in with this is that through these practices, what you get to do, if you choose, is you actually get to control your chaos, right? So you can use breath and movement and touch and mindfulness and any combination of that, and combine it with, you know, some sort of a practice, if you will, and you can take yourself into some really deep places where you can explore the darkness, where you can explore the pain and the hurt, where you can expand that container without it being in a place that's unsafe. Right?
Right.
So you're not going to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be abused, but you might put yourself in a situation. Hang on just half a second. I'm so sorry. Somebody's knocking on the door.
He might be putting yourself in a situation that's probably super
Somebody
uncomfortable.
just walked up on the porch and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
shoot.
So, yeah, it probably totally just puts. So,
But
okay.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, it puts it, you might be uncomfortable. See, the thing is that what I'm hearing you say is what I believe is true, because I work on this, is the retraining of the nervous system in all arenas, period. That's what this is about. When we get into somatic healing, you're getting into retraining your nervous system.
yes. And it can be fun as hell. Let me tell you, it can be.
Well, I just really need
Be
to know about that,
scary. It can be
because
scary, and it can
I
be.
want to know how fun it is. I don't want to know how scary it is.
Yeah.
I've had enough scary. Anybody else want to know how fun it could be? I know how fun it could be. It could be fun.
Well, some
That's
of
pretty
those
fun.
things that we think of as scary, if you are in a knowingly safe container, they can actually be they can be fun. They can be, you can ride those edges, push the edges a little bit, and learn and grow. But, you have to know that you're safe. You have to know that you are fully at choice and that you have full consent inside yourself. You have to know what your F no and your F yes are. You know what I mean? And then you have to
Yep.
know that the other people that you're with know that too, right?
What you just said, like, is so valuable. I hope y'all just heard that. Consent. What are you consenting to? Hello,
Right.
ladies. Listen, I'm gender fine, but I am doing it. Listen, because as a woman, has y'all ever thought about the fact, the sacredness of who you are, and the fact that you should be treated like that, and all humans should be. But retraining the nervous system for a woman in the shift that we're now seeing out there in the world, because we know we're seeing it, but it's been so different when it comes to pleasure or sex or how that looks. And it's taken years for me to have an understanding of what that might look like. I literally went completely celibate for 4 years because I seriously did not want to continue the patterns.
Mhm.
The retraining of my nervous system, oh my God, I'm just starting EDMR, okay? Just getting ready to.
That can be a very powerful.
I do anything and everything you all could ever
Mhm.
imagine to retrain this body and this nervous system that's had, gratefully so, without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. So the things,
Yeah.
it's just how it is. We're all human. You are humans. You're here to be human. You're here to experience all those things within our body. Because it became uncomfortable, I spent a lot of time hiding from the things that were uncomfortable in my body because I didn't want to be able to understand that shift, to be able to understand that we can retune that area of anxiety that we can get into as a human species, period,
Mhm.
is crazy great. So I don't want to get into too deep into. We won't go too deep into how it works in partnership, but let's really expand this last 15 minutes on how this works as an individual basis, because I firmly believe that if we do not deal with ourselves first, there's no point in dealing with another.
So,
So,
one of my suggestions to people is to try it out. I mean, if something comes into your field, let's say, you found an invitation to some kind of breath circle, holotropic or transformative breathing. Um, Test out the community, know about the teacher, understand that this is not a cure-all, catch-all kind of a thing, but try it out. And also know your limits when you're in something, when you're in a process, let's say in a group. Don't just keep going because you think you have to because of the group. If you feel like you've hit your wall, just stop. Like, it's okay to just stop. And the other thing is, when and if you have like a cathartic moment, because a lot of times these things will bring up stuff, and then there's reasons for it, that you're shifting the chemistry in your body. You're in breathing, you're playing with the oxygen deprivation and different things like that. It's affecting your brain. It's opening up, dropping the delayed mode network and different things like that. So, you know, um, catharsis is not cure. Okay. Just because you have a big crying jag, or you feel like were healed from your mother wound or something like that, it that's just sort of the beginning. And what I've seen a lot, which has also driven my work, is that I had so many people that kept coming back for the cathartic moment, but they weren't doing anything out there to really change. And so I stopped doing that kind of stuff, whether it was breath work or deep body work or um, other things. I quit doing that because I recognized that it's a bit of an addiction oftentimes, to I want to go get that, I want to go get that, I want to go get that, right? But learning how to navigate and manage your own nervous system and your own internal state isn't necessarily exciting or sexy, but the results are astronomically beautiful and can lead to just super beautiful sensuality in the world. I mean, not just with a sensual partner, but just in the world, like feeling what's happening around you. So I
It's so big, so
it
big.
is, yeah.
Passion, y'all, listen, you're passionate human beings. Whoever shuts you down, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That shit happened because I've been there, but you don't have to stay there. That's the thing. And the ability to be able to express ourselves however that we want to express ourselves and understanding our own beingness, I think that's just so important. And you know what? Yes, thank you, Kim. Look at Kimberly.
Yeah.
Kimberly, she's rad. She's totally cool. And my Paul McFarland's Thai massage, yoga for lazy people.
It kind of is. I mean,
That's
the
why I
way
brought it up.
that
He's such a you would, you know what? Paul's such a cool dude. You guys
yeah,
would have, well, simply because he's a tantric expert. So, uh,
gotcha. Right.
it seems like there's a lot of tantric in this a little bit.
Well, that's the thing is I've studied Tantra pretty deeply and Taoist sexology even more deeply. I kind of lean more towards the Taoist work. I don't use those terms or that terminology in my work partially because there's like a stigma that can be attached to some of this stuff.
Right.
And
Right.
I also, I tend to be a bit of a kind of an iconoclast, let's say, and it's like, I'm not going to niche myself into I'm a tantra practitioner. I mean, I'm a Taoist practitioner, because then there's expectations around it that don't always fit. There's a lot of beauty in both of those things, and I think they are valuable
Yeah.
traditions. And when people really go down that path, like really fully take it on, not the neo tantra stuff, but like really fully take on those practices, it's like Shaolin monk stuff. You know what I mean? It's deep.
That
And
sounds rad. Hey, I'm curious though. You've got
yeah,
me thinking. Okay, look. Why? Why'd you go down that route? Why have you studied sexual human behavior? Because dude, look it, I know why
yeah,
I did.
yeah.
I know
I
why
knew this
I
question
have.
was going to come.
It's coming. Oh yeah. Because I took it, I took all types
Mhm.
of classes
Yeah.
and shit. So I know why I did, because I had this insane need to understand
Well,
the human being.
there's two main reasons. One is my own trying to understand my own relationship to sexuality. I had
Love it.
some experiences as a younger person and as a kid, and that shaped me and
Okay.
sent me down paths and made me question what the hell was going on and what am I supposed to do and why do I have that
Seriously, yeah,
fantasy
right?
in my head, and am I weird and sick? So that's
Oh,
one thing.
yeah, yeah.
And then in my work, as I began to do more and more of working with more and more people, we could move through all these layers. But then as soon as you hit that place that had to do with sexuality, sensuality, which is a lot focused in the pelvis, right? There was just, as open as anybody was, it just felt like there was like that. It was the last bastion of fuck no, basically. You know what I mean? That no. And it's partly due to our society that we've grown up in, with the heavily sort of Protestant kind of ideology that's deep ingrained, whether you're religious that way or not. But even other religions have very deep conservative ideas around sexuality, right? And then yeah, thousands of years of repression, especially on the feminine, but where the also is this culture that we've developed over the last numbers of thousands of years, right? Also limits men extremely. And that's kind of not really talked about very much, right? And I'm also on a mission, it's not stated out there yet, but to help men reclaim that primal nature, not to become sensitive new age guys, but to like really reclaim that powerful nature, and understand that you're not slowing down for the feminine. You're slowing down for you, because you want to have the best means you can have, you know what I mean? You want to understand
I
that
know what you mean.
you want it to
And I know
grow.
y'all know what he means.
you know
Because I'm going to tell something that should be all of our objectives in life to absolutely listen. That should just be raising the bar, should just be the thing. That should just
right.
be your freaking motto, man. And
And when you learn that, just really, when you learn that as a man or as a woman, you actually learn how to connect better and communicate.
but
And it's
oh
really
my,
not a selfish thing in
but
that.
men need this. Men need this so badly. Okay, listen,
You
women, you all know, look, I'll help y'all women. Listen, men, listen. You need this. Here's what I know and understand, and this is something that came up, and I'm going to talk about age now for just a second. I'm going to age me, and I have no issue with 56 because I think that's badassery. What I will say is that I am coming to this place in my life where I'm starting to understand that I'm on the planet less time than I've been here, and I am damn well going to have fun. And I know Deb said, "Hey, how exactly are we going to have fun?" Well, fun is about, listen, the types of fun I like to have things where I experience in my body, where I have elation and ecstaticism and ecstasy, and life is living, not it's living life. It's not. It's like eating to live. We need to live because we're not going to be breathing all that much longer. God dang it! 56 years went by fast, dude.
Yeah,
Like I'm like, what the hell?
60 in November, so I'm right
there. What the hell? It's like totally. So this is so important, and I also know that for men, specific, not just women. When women go to menopause, and it's about pause, pause that. Men, they're over here going through their own because they're getting paused, and probably a lot of other things.
Yeah, chemical changes, testosterone.
Totally are just exactly. And they're all going through it. So can we just please normalize the fact that our bodies at our age are going through some shit, and that we need to help each other out here with some tools and totally. And I don't know about y'all, but I do not plan on dying on this planet not having the best sex. I don't know if we can even say that on the air. I don't even have a clue. Possible, because life is too short.
Right.
Life is not about being. I am not your I am a grandma, but I am a grandma, and we were not brought up in our age group, in our Gen X group. We were not brought up we were brought up in the old school ways where you didn't talk about it. You put everything under the rug, and I don't know about men, but women, it was bad.
Well, I mean, sex is just is a definitely.
Yeah, don't you dare talk about that.
Thing, it's a secret, what you like to do and what you want to do. So that's another thing, is like normalizing fantasy, normalizing fetishes, normalizing, don't yuck someone's yum, as long as you're not hurting somebody, unless that's what they want, with consent, right?
Consent.
And it's all good,
All
Yeah,
good.
consent is huge. It's huge.
Well, consent is huge, because it's creating the space for safe containers. That's the thing. So you're premeditating what that could look like for you by having these open dialogues and these open conversations, and really being clear. Practice
really, all like put it into practice, like do some remedial, hey, can I do this to you? Would you do this for me? I mean, like really simple, and then sticking to it,
Well, and I think that's really good to explore the boundaries and to do all of that. But there's some times when the person's not, they're stuck at not even getting past the fucking start.
I know.
Shit. Because of trauma. Like, for real. Like, because it's stuck in the body. And when it's stuck in the body, people, you aren't getting to experience life as a human being like you should. I love, James, that you have all of these great tools to offer people to be able to break through the barrier of sexual repression and bullshit that they've been taught all these years.
Yeah, oh my
Lord
gosh.
Jesus, I'll tell you what, I'm glad my sons I'm their mother. I'm glad
Yeah,
I'm their
right.
mother.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Because you know what? It's so beautiful for me to learn from them and be able to sit back and see how they express in their connection and partnerships and relationships and things. And all of it's just a beautiful thing. But really, I think what it comes down to, and then I'll let you finish with everybody here. And then I want to bring you back again here in a couple of weeks. I'd really like to get a little bit deeper into the first half. We could talk about how we are working within ourselves and our own pleasure, our own touch. And then we can go into the section of partnership, pleasure, and touch, because I know that you brought up touch, and touch is a huge thing but we didn't get into it yet. So we have to do it again. But listen, y'all, what this is about is being human. It's human equalization. It's about finding that space that you love and that's your own, and that you can happily share with another human or not. Doesn't even matter. But yeah, this is some seriously great stuff. So I've had this website going across the screen. How do people work with you? But also leave them with one more little tidbit of goodies.
Well,
That's fun.
that's fun. Well, I mean, okay, so Sunday there's a free webinar. You can sign up through the Somatic Pleasure website. It's called Touch and Sensation Mastery. And so we'll be going, obviously going into touch and figuring it out. So we didn't really get to talk about it all that much here today. And also, we'll be starting a cohort here pretty soon. We don't have an exact date yet, but you can get on the waiting list, and we'll let you know about that. So it'll be a 4-week, once a week training. If you're already a somatic practitioner or anything like a therapist or anything like that, it'll help you with that to deepen your understanding of touch. So one of the things that I wanted to leave you with in the sense of touch is like our skin is the largest organ in the body, right? It is like our nervous system turned inside out. It's the outside aspect of our internal nervous system, and touch is integral to your psychological and emotional development and well-being. So as a child, we needed that for healthy development. As adults, we need to continue that. We need to continue healthy touch, seeking it out and giving it, because it keeps us healthy. Everything is really, if you think about it in some way, just about everything in our life is predicated on touch. Our memory, we feel our memories, and other people, we get that sensation, we get chills, or we get heart palpitations. I mean, these are all types of touch, right? The wind blowing across our body is touch, the sun on our skin. Anyway.
Those are, yeah, but what you're saying here. So what you just did, y'all, he just gave you a tool. He said, tune into your body to see what the wind feels like when it touches you. And he said, tune into the sun. What does it feel like when it's touching you? And start tuning into your skin. Start tuning into your body. Hey, I love that. We've got a lot of comments, so let's just get rolling. Margaret says that's great, James. She wants to meet someone who does this work.
Oh.
Yeah. And Kimberly, I love this. She's a fun lady. I like her.
Love you too, Kimberly. Thank you.
Seriously, look at that. She says, still working on all of this, and you're right. It's like the last block. My husband and I discuss this and have open communication. I'm glad you have open communication about it. I think the key.
So I do work with people on this level as well, and
okay.
So you can get a hold of me. There is a place on my website that you can get a hold of me, but you can get a hold of me through, I think,
is it book a call
and stuff. Yeah, do that one. That's the website is still kind of in development. Those things are getting better and better and more refined. But yes, if you book a call with me, we can talk about that.
You know what? And that's right on the very front page, everybody. So just of his website that I also put into the chat, Joe says, lovely work.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. And let's see, what else do we have? We have more stuff. Hold on. And Deb loves it. She's just, I love that. I love that. Kimberly, such goodness. Thank you, sweetness.
Thank you.
Love it, you guys. You guys rock. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, everybody. I want you to give yourselves permission today to be human and to feel. Go. And I like the song says, go touch yourself. Just saying.
Right?
You know what? We got to raise. Today is about raising the vibration. So we'll just raise it up. We'll say as we say goodbye, everybody, and just raise it up. And remember, movement's huge. Yes. Do your breath.
Normalize your sexy. It's okay.
Oh, I'm all about that. I'm so glad all of you have been here with us. Remember to spark that G vibe. But that's your gratitude vibe. That's your good vibe, your gratitude vibe. It's whatever G vibe you'd like it to be. Just spark it. You see, without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. So spark it. Spark is that internal sexy, that and normalizing what you were innately. Listen, y'all. I heard someone once go, "Oh God, Mom, don't talk about sex," and I'm like, you know, she had to fuck to get you. Just saying.
Yes.
So I mean, for any human that's going,
why we block out one of the most fundamental, beautiful aspects of humanity. That's one of the reasons why I've been doing this work. It's like, why is that such a serious to a beautiful life? You know what I mean? It's like, good grief.
Well, but that's the thing, is that Dr. Ruth, who God bless her soul, just left our planet. I know, she just left our planet. If y'all don't know who she is, go look her up. Thing about it is that she helped to normalize a lot of things, because see, a lot of us have issues. A lot of us have problems intimately. A lot of us don't know how to connect intimately. A lot of us are learning how to do this. The key is that you're seeking to learn how to do this. And if you don't know how to do this, if you feel stunted in your sexuality, if you feel stunted in the fact that you just absolutely don't know what to do, I don't care how old you are, you might want to go to hold James. Just saying. Just get a hold of him. Go on Sunday, take the free course, see how that's looking for you, see if it's a good fit. Because the fact of the matter is that mental health fitness is your job. You got to get in there. You got to start working these muscles, man. And by the way, I don't know any more muscle that I'd like to work more than my entire body, in my entire beingness. There is nothing that works better in our life than channeling our passions and our everything into each other, into our work. Doesn't even matter.
And that's one of the things where Tantra and Taoism really, really connect, and that connect with what I believe too, is that, it's not about genital to genital stuff. It's about
it's so not
body, interpersonal interconnection, and that just takes it into a whole different realm of love and gratitude and spaciousness and connection and sexiness. I mean, it really is like, whew, yeah.
Yeah, big, huge. But see, that's so true, though. People think confidence is just because I think I'm this or I think I'm that, and it's not. It's this feeling, and it is, you're sexy. It is our sexiness. It is that mirror work.
Erotic natures are, it's just fundamental. Life
fundamental.
Force.
It's
life force, and there is not going to be a replay of Sunday. We are selling the recordings, but there are going to be more in webinars coming up. So
Okay.
stay tuned and sign up.
Well, if you have
That like button, right? Isn't that what you're supposed to say?
click that like button. Click that button. Just click it. Click the. You know what? Go click a button. That's what I'm going to say. Raise it up.
Click a button.
Click the button, and then call James if you can't find the button. Just saying.
Oh, we're going down that road.
Oh, I go down every road. That's why it is spirituality gone wild.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? Life is too short for us not to embrace our human beingness in all arenas. And this particularly for me, because I come from trauma sexually, is a big deal for me. We can joke and we can have fun with it because this is having fun. But the fact is, y'all know. Oh, look, she was thinking it. All right. See, I was thinking it. See, I knew you were thinking that.
Yeah, there's a really deep sadness that we carry around as human beings.
Yeah, right.
Around this sense of separation and disconnect.
It's terrible.
And one of the things that I was going to say is like when you drop into the sensations and you drop in, like you said, go out and let the sun caress your body. We're not alone. There is no such thing as being alone. You're just not. That's a sensation that's happening in your body of not feeling connected. So go in and get connected. Right?
Sometimes it's a little bit harder for others and you know what I'm going to say is this: take your mental health into your own hands. I did. I think I mentioned it. I'm starting EDMR.
Yep.
But you know why I'm doing it? Because I want to see what it does, just because I'm curious.
But it can be really powerful. I've experienced it, so it's been on my path. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the fact that you're a Marine too. I mean, y'all, can we just also thank you for your service? Thank you, my husband, for his service. Thank all y'all, and thank you, Scott Reese, for introducing us. Because yes, Plow Zone, Radio Rocks. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's we are all connected, and I just sort of threw that out there because I wanted to give that example of our friends that have how they've all connected us. And we only have each other, you guys, so let's just help each other to experience this life like we're supposed to, because anybody that hasn't been having the best sex of their life needs to be freaking doing some shit to change it. Get a hold of James, be there on Sunday.
Beautiful. Yes. I would love to help anybody move through those barriers for sure. I mean, all serious. It's all
seriousness.
It's
truly
a multi-leveled, multifaceted, and it's something that it's not, like I said, it's not about, the genitals thing. It is about connecting with that real life force and understanding that you have agency. You get to make choices in your life about where you go and how you play and how you work. We're not controlled by anything unless we give our control away.
Snap. All right, James. So they're already looking forward to the next one. So you guys, you'll see us back in about, I think, 2 weeks if he's open, and that's a good thing. And I think y'all need to go, if you're available, go this Sunday, check it out, and just live your best life. And to live your best life means you better be tapping in, you better be tapping in. So that you can tap in, baby. Tap in. Okay? If you want to tap in, you're going to have to tap in. Oh my God, that's just such a freaking so bad. So bad. I'm going to end it there.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Remember that.
Good to see you.